John, I do believe this here show tonight is going to be historic. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. This has been a run now. Last couple shows. I mean, the show that we just did this past Friday night. I mean, you shared exclusively with our patrons when we went to the patron only portion of the show.
John, I do believe
that's
this
me.
here show. Yep, no problem.
Killed it. So you shared with our patrons the unredacted content that you were able to secure legally, graciously. It was sent to you. You know, opposite of what, you know, the reason they carried Julian Assange out of the Ecuadorian embassy. Nobody mailed Julian, right? So you actually got them to send you the. That's what I mean. It's like and it's one of these wild things, because I think with the show and the title of the show last week, I think that there's a group at YouTube that was eager to, you know, hit the red button, and somebody stepped in and said, but that's what journalism is.
Yeah.
If they can get the unredacted stuff by asking nicely or asking in another manner, that's journalism. They got the unredacted stuff. What, you know, you got to let it go. That's the First Amendment. That's journalism. There was nothing surreptitious about what you shared Friday night with the, right? You got that.
No.
They sent it to you.
They sent it to me.
In the snail mail, like in regular old mail, with somebody delivered it. Like, yeah, somebody delivered it.
Here it is. Thumb drive.
So this is it. That's what makes this different. That's why I say often what we do and what Julian Assange was doing 10 years ago, this is very, very different. This is open source intelligence gathering. So we're using, you know, legit methods. Everything's up and up. We don't hack into anything. I don't know how to hack into anything. I'm not a hacker. You know, but I'm pretty good at getting to the CDC and finding out how many people died of influenza in a given week. I'm pretty good at that. But what we're going to look at tonight is really exciting, and it kind of builds on what you shared with the audience on Friday, which was this unredacted set of information, which was game changing. I mean, it's been almost 2 months now. In fact, it's as we're recording this, it's Thursday the 12th, and the president was shot on the 13th of July. So, you know, we're coming up on 60 days since the event, and no one has seen this unredacted version of what you shared with our patrons the other night, other than maybe the folks in Congress. I don't know if they're getting to see redacted or unredacted. Do you know if Chuck Grassley's getting to see?
No, Chuck Grassley, when I tried to open the Chuck Grassley documents in the same way that I opened the documents that the cops gave to me, because, by the way, everything you're saying is correct. I don't know how to hack anything. And by the way, even if you did know how to hack, the idea of redacting the document, in other words, if I sent you a redacted PDF, there is nothing that you could do to recover the redacted information. I'm not going to describe the process that I use, but obviously, just like people would come into 21st Century 3D who are working for me, and I've told you these stories about yelling at artists who use JPEG images as texture maps and things that made me crazy. I know nobody understands what I'm talking about, but there is just no way that the cops know as much about digital files as I do, and that's been proven by them delivering me this document. So I tried to open the Chuck Grassley documents in the same way, and it didn't work. So somebody made a mistake, and I don't know, John, if I know you're very busy, but first of all, I wanted to show you this because this speaks to what you were saying before about the journalism. I was quite surprised that when I'm not going to show the picture because it has that death photo that will get us dinged. But this was on X. And I just said, you know, the more I look at these unredacted files from the Beaver County District Attorney, the more I begin to think they did not intend to send me this. That was on September 7th. And this is a warning. They flagged it. I've posted that picture of Yurik dead on the roof maybe 24 times. This is the only one that got flagged. So I don't know what's going on at X in terms of them allowing journalism to go or not go. But the other thing that is very important relative to this that just happened today, I don't know if you've even had a chance to see this, but I actually finally got a call back from Detective Sedlak. She is the detective in charge of the right to know requests at the Beaver County district attorney's office. So she's a detective, and she's with the Beaver ESU. Remember, when we had those SWAT team members there at the rally, Butler County, it's a rural area there, and they don't really have the money and the resources and the number of officers to have a really kind of extensive SWAT team. So they have this kind of like multi-county task force, and this detective handles the requests. People should listen to this conversation because I discussed the fact with her that I have these unredacted documents for the first time. I've alerted the Beaver County police that I have them. She was shocked. She was silent for like about 20 seconds because, in other words, she knows I'm not lying. I'm trying to get a phone call with Detective Gianvito, who is the guy who took the picture that I'm not going to show. She was also quite flustered on the call because she thinks I'm talking about a leaked photo. Let's look at that Grassley document for a second, because I'll describe to you exactly what it is here. But I mean, John, this is an incredible development with the police now knowing. What do you think about all this?
I think it's outrageous. It's exciting. The fact that you've got the unredacted documents, we now know who's who. So again, just the other night, I guess it's almost a week ago, right? So it's Thursday, so it was Friday night that we went through this with our patrons, and we looked at the names of who sent what to whom, and there were some there were some real elephants in the room, so to speak, like Greg Nickel unaccounted for 6 minutes. We came to the realization that one of the guys that was up in that SWAT perch upstairs had been sent home early, leaving just 2 people up there. And then when Greg Nickel leaves the perch, well, that leaves just 1 guy up there. We know who that guy is, right? No one else seems to know because everybody else is looking at black boxes.
Right.
We know who the guy is, right?
Right.
And this is really game-changing information. And so, if this were Survivor or The Amazing Race, all the other teams would be really angry and really jealous right now. Damn it. How did they get that? So
now, right now we're looking at the Chuck Grassley document. So people can see the significant portions of the images are redacted.
Careful. But still, YouTube. Okay.
No, but this is redacted. This is redacted. So this page from the Grassley document, this is the former President of the United States after action report. And this has become, I think, the most significant page in the document. This is the page I was discussing with Detective Sedlak, because in the unredacted version of the document that we will look at in just about 20 minutes when we go over to subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, also on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and Subscribestar and Patreon/crowdsourcethetruth. We're going to look at this unredacted document, and I'm going to go into depth about what we discussed with Detective Sedlak and what's going to happen next. But really, the most significant aspect of what we're going to be discussing tonight is information that has not been released, to my knowledge, anywhere by anyone. We are going to reveal the drone operator, and we're going to talk a lot about the details of this drone.
Well, so this was something that was in the original comm sheet that we had talked about, I think in the second week. We were looking at the Chuck Grassley release comm sheet, and on the comm sheet there was somebody listed, again redacted, and it said UAS operator, and then handwritten next to it was drone. But then everything was redacted. So you're like, well, what the hell is this? And so when Jason was able to get to the unredacted version of this and finds out, well, who is this counter UAS drone operator? Jason called the guy, which is unheard of in 2024. First of all, that you call people, right? People are like, dude, that's so 1996. You called somebody? You mean you made the phone? You made the phone ring on the other end? It went ding, 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 ding. So the guy's probably like, who the hell is calling me? Like his own wife doesn't call him. Like she texts, she sends him SMSs. He's like, somebody's calling me? Wait, did I forget to pay the car insurance? He's probably wondering, who's calling? And then when you're like, hey, it's Jason Goodman, people are stunned by this. It
Did I
really
send it to you?
catches.
Have you heard it?
No,
Oh,
no.
you
In
haven't?
fact,
Oh my God, dude!
no.
People are going to lose their minds when you had the whole phone call with the guy.
I did a show earlier today. I was on Jeff Prather's show talking about this, and I said the format that we do it. I said I haven't heard it yet. I said so when we do the show, I was promoting tonight's show, and I said to him, I haven't heard the conversation. So when I hear it, the audience hears it for the first time. That's how we do stuff here. So when I share stuff with you, you're seeing it for the first time. So this is going to be really exciting for me. I'm eager to hear this conversation with the guy. I mean, for weeks. In fact, why don't we show people a couple of those images so that they know what the hell we're talking about? Because there was a whole lot of talk of UFOs and, the spaceships were here and the aliens came and helped out. So let's show a couple of the images. So we've got some images of things that were happening over the course of the event that people were pointing out, that there's stuff in the sky and they saw it from different angles and different images, different pictures, or different videos. It was showing up in still frames from people's video. And I think you can see it there somewhere.
Oh, it's right over the guy's head here.
Yeah, right over his head. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. It's undeniable because it is in these frames. And, we were kind of like, well, is this a bug or a bird? Is it a subsonic bullet? And we were kind of thinking like, well, it's really moving too slow to be a bullet of any kind and fast for a bug or a bird. So what is it? And then they said that Crooks was flying a drone, but really, Crooks is a 20-year-old guy. What kind of drone is he going to get? He's going to get a DJI Mini or what are the different ones? He's not spending $2,000 on a drone.
And how come they took the time to lay out the broken gun and put the broken gun on the table next to the ruler?
Where's
and they
the
took
drone?
the time to put the backpack. Right, where's the drone? Why would you not want to take a picture of the drone if that's part of your story? You took a photo of the trunk of the Hyundai with all the explosives and you showed us that. Why would you not photograph the drone, the remote control from the drone? Here's some footage the kid shot. Here's the drone footage of him flying over the thing. Do you guys not know how to do this? Do you not know how to keep the public at bay with information? All you have to do is just show people what you're doing and everybody will shut up.
I have a drone question though, because I haven't flown drones professionally in 10 years. And a lot of the rules have changed. There were actually no laws when I started the drone company. Right. We worked with the FAA to help create the laws. But the question is, let's talk about Crooks for a second, because when you have a DJI drone, you have an account, you log in when you fly it, that records the flight path, right? I mean, it's like DJI has that information. The cops could find out exactly where the drone flew. No?
Not necessarily if you know what you're doing. So my unit is the DJI, what do I have, a Mini 3 or something? The little teeny tiny one, it fits, it's this big. And the remote that I use does not use a cell phone. It's an integrated remote. And because of that, it doesn't need to be online. It doesn't need Wi-Fi. It doesn't need any kind of cell connection. So it's like you've got your own little local thing between your remote and the device, and it's using GPS, but it doesn't bring up a base map because it has nowhere to go to get a base map. So it will work right now. Now the only thing is, if we're in a restricted area, like remember when we were in Vegas and we were standing outside of Maverick, and we were right on the edge of the airport. I don't think we can take off there.
Geofenced.
And I think it's geofenced in the GPS in the unit.
You're right.
I think it gets updates and it gets a table of geofenced areas, and it checks the geofenced table that's inside the software in the unit. So I don't think it needs connectivity to not fly in places like that. And so the Butler airstrip.
Maybe they wouldn't have his flight.
Well, I was going to say Butler Farm Show has an airstrip there, and I don't know if that airstrip is active, or it looks like it is, because those are all
You should not be able to
hangars.
ever fly a drone there. It's an
There's
airport.
hangars
What?
there.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody and their mother was able to go up there and fly a drone, right? So uh, our buddy was on the show
Gene.
with his
Gene.
Gene was on the show. He's a pro. He went up there, he flew. He had no issues, right? He got great footage. But everybody went up there. Benny went up there. The guy another guy on YouTube who's the something man, and he went up with his drone, the Suds man,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that. Like Gary had a
yeah.
drone there.
And
Everybody's had drones there. It's a little weird.
everybody's got it right. And so I guess it's not geofenced, even though they've got an airstrip there and a whole bunch of private aircraft, right? You know that right there was an airstrip and a whole bunch of hangars, right? Those are hangars there.
Yeah.
All those buildings that were off to the side there were
Erin told
private
us
plane
she was in
hangars.
those hangars.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, I don't know about the geofencing part, but we see the stuff flying around. We see it in a number of different images. Like you said, it's too slow to be a bullet. It looks too fast to be an insect, or, and the shape of it was weird. It kind of had some stuff sticking out. And we see that comm sheet saying there's a UAS counter UAS,
Right.
and then handgun drone. Okay, so we got the images, we got the sheet, and then Friday night we looked at this thing that Chuck Grassley released. I think you had it up a second ago, from Chuck Grassley saying they were not able to get the drone in the air until 5:20 p.m. So,
Yeah, here it is.
oh, ha 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 ha. So according to Chuck Grassley, or his reporting of what he was told, there was a drone airborne at 5:20. Well, that's like 50 minutes before the shooting. If there's some
Hmm.
kind of a counter anything, it's got to have a camera on it. You guys are flying around with a blind drone.
No,
You just
no, not
We'll find
blind.
out. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. But in other words, so the idea now is, if you guys have a drone up there 50 minutes before the shooting, and there's some kid running around on the roof with a backpack, can we hear the comms between your buddy that you called? So tonight, when we get to the patron only portion, tell everybody what they're going to get to hear.
They're going
What
to hear a
happens?
phone call between me and the operator of this counter UAS system. And they're going to hear a lot of explanation about what I now understand about this system. I think this is the best photograph we have of it so far on site. And I'm going to point out to people how I think that this has positively identified this drone as an Anduril counter UAS. It's a component of this Lattice system, I believe. And it's an incredibly sophisticated system. We've got Captain Kirk with us in the comments saying, I don't think it's the actual Captain Kirk, but this one says, how do drones tie in? I don't see the connection. Because you see, John, there are sometimes these things that are right in front of our faces, but they're obscured. And until someone points them out to you, you can't see them. I've spoken to you many times about my deceased friend, John Merritt, who I learned at his funeral was in fact working for the CIA. He was a satellite photo interpreter and taught me almost everything I know about 3D. And when I first started taking his classes about the human factors in visual perception of stereoscopic presentation, he would show this really bad quality fax image that just looked like a black, one bit, black and white, not grayscale. Very, very low detail. And it just looked like if you took a picture of trees and leaves and the woods, just a mess. Then he shows it in 3D, and you can clearly see, even with no color at all, there's a spotted cow standing in front of trees and leaves and everything. Then you go back to the two-dimensional fax image, and you cannot unsee the cow that you didn't see before. So we're going to reveal to everybody what is going on with this drone, and Captain Kirk and everybody else who cannot possibly imagine what the hell it would be doing there, where you're going to say, oh.
It's like the gorilla illusion, right? So once you've seen it,
Yes.
you can't not see it again the next time we
Right.
show it. I mean, we show it twice a year, and for the people who've seen it, they can't. They always see it the second, third time. So that's the point. similar to the Vegas shooting. For so many viewings, you don't see the helicopters. Once you see them, whenever you watch the footage, you're like, oh yeah, look between the buildings. It's like, here you go, bing, 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 bing. It's like, you know where they're going to be, you know when. So that's what happens. And when you're faced with such an overwhelming amount of visual information, looking at crowds of people, thousands of people in a crowd, it's an overwhelming amount of information. And we're looking for somebody's hat to go flipping. We're looking for a puff of smoke on a railing. We're looking for a crack in a windshield, right? I mean, the things that we're looking for are minutia in a sea of people,
And
tens
bad
of
video.
thousands. Oh, dude, I saw an advertisement on Twitter. I think I took a picture of it. It's an iPhone case on a bungee with a carabiner. So it spins and it bounces all at the same
Get it
time.
for
And I said,
Unsteady
hey,
Dave for his birthday.
we should brand it. We should brand it the Unsteady Dave iPhone tripod, because it bounces and it spins and you can just clip it on and it'll just keep filming regardless. It was hysterical when I saw it. I was like, this is what this kid is using. It's too funny. All right, so people understand. We see this thing flying around. Jason reaches out to the guy. You're going to get to hear this conversation tonight. The unredacted information is where we're now lapping the pack. We now know who was where. We know who communicated with whom. We know what the device was. Did you show the audience what this Anduril doodad looks like? This flying
Well, we had it in the thumbnail. And, this is a component. Remember, this is a counter UAS system. And I was watching, I think it's Representative Bishop is questioning Christopher Wray. And he says that he saw that counter UAS. Bishop incorrectly identifies it as unmanned aerial surveillance. That is not what UAS stands for in this context. And Anduril, it's a counter UAS system that does involve this multi-rotor drone, but it's really almost like an ad hoc network of all kinds of different components. It has different drones that it can use. It has, towers and, radio components and things. Here's all these different solutions: command and control and mission autonomy. This is like a huge, almost like a network that you build. And all these different things have a plurality of sensors that create a fused data set around a target. That is what this system is intended to do. Now, the other thing is counter UAS, it's a broad field. I found other manufacturers that make, here, let's show it, because we still have a few minutes before we get over to our sponsor exclusive segment. But it was called, I think this is it. Oh no, that's a new one. Wow, I hadn't seen that before. Yeah, this is it. Here it is. Allen Systems. They have something called the Bullfrog, which utilizes this telepresence remote operated turret in conjunction with the drones. And all of this stuff is counter UAS. So again, I haven't spoken to Anduril yet. I don't yet know what the full scope of the capabilities are. But it's important to remember that Anduril is a company that was created by Lucky Palmer, who is actually Matt Gaetz' brother-in-law. And he's a computer guy. So the way I see what they're presenting and what it says to me, I haven't confirmed this, but it makes
Why do people know him? Why do people know Lucky Palmer? He's famous because, like Stuttering John would say,
Oculus Rift.
Oh, okay. So he was the 3D thing.
So that whole Mark Zuckerberg for some crazy
for $1 billion.
Yeah,
$1.4 billion, $1.2 billion. Okay.
Yeah. And so he's rich, and he created the Oculus Rift virtual reality head-mounted thing. So he's a computer guy, He's younger than us, but, he's sort of same
31
idea.
years old.
Pretty young.
31.
And there he is with the first prototype or whatever. And so he decided that he wanted to create a startup defense company, and he felt that it would be unrealistic to, try to develop a a jet or a missile or something. So in June of 2017, he founded the autonomy-focused defense technology company Anduril Industries, along with former Palantir Technologies executive Matt Grimm. Trey Stevens and Brian, these guys, early Oculus Rift hardware people. So he took some of these super duper surveillance people from Peter Thiel's thing and made this company. But my point is, here's one of their towers. So there's lots of different components to the counter UAS system. It literally is a network of components. And I get the sense that you can add a lot of different things because it can take all kinds of different sensor inputs, cameras, infrared, radio signals, radar, geometric, like GPS data, elevation maps. It's almost like if I told you, hey, I have a computer over here, a PC or a Mac OS computer, and I also, that's made by Apple, and then I have a camera from Sony. They're not made by the same companies, but you can integrate their capabilities together and use the Sony camera with the Apple computer. I do believe that this system works like that. So you could take that remote gun from another manufacturer and feed it input signals from this whole network and have it do stuff. We're going to learn more about this Anduril system, but it's incredibly advanced. This is not some DJI thing that a 20-year-old would have. And also, what the hell is it that they claim that Crooks did with this drone? Whoever it is that was on the roof, they just went up there. The guy was 130 yards away, and they started shooting at him. They didn't have some drone data that they were using. I mean, what was the drone conceivably for if Crooks used a drone?
I have no idea. And then wouldn't the rangefinder then be?
Why do you need
it's like
that?
Overkill. Right. If you've got the drone and you're able to get an aerial view of the situation, and then you go back to Sheets and look at what you got and say, okay, it looks like it's about 135 yards or 150 yards or whatever the hell it is. You got to have the rangefinder too, and if you've got the rangefinder, what the hell do you need the drone? I guess you need the drone to see if you can find counter sniper positions and see where they're setting up, I guess. But how the hell is the kid flying a DJI drone around the venue? How is there not counter DJI? I mean, I've seen stuff where they have like a rifle that they actually shoot the drones out of the air.
Yeah, but it shoots a radio signal at it and it flops.
Right. It jams it. It's like an EMF jammer rifle that local I think they actually use them at stadiums, like football stadiums, baseball stadiums, in case somebody flies a drone into the stadium. They need the ability to take the drone down. And I think that's what those things are for. They jam whatever the frequency is, and it's directional. And like you said, the drones pretty much fall out of the sky. So how the hell how's a 20-year-old kid able to pull this off? And what is preventing it from happening at the next rally?
Nothing. But John, we're out of time here. We're going to carry on with our sponsors. People are going to be able to join us. If you're not yet a sponsor, tonight is the night. You want to make your way over to subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com /IamJohnCullen, or odyssey.com /@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, or patreon.com /crowdsourcethetruth. I really want to thank our sponsors. We would have never gotten to this point without you guys. And this is really substantial information, and I hope that people will join us. We'll be back in 5 minutes.